Chapter 1: Why you need to sit up and take notice of Snapchat. Snapchat is the big social network that too often gets overlooked. Bloggers and businesses now know the importance of social media marketing. But their mistake is in thinking that this always means Facebook and Twitter. In fact, though, the key to a good social media campaign is to be everywhere. And more important still, it is to be in the right place for your particular brand and your particular plans. If you can match the right message with the right channel, then you can absolutely guarantee your success and see your brand really take off and take flight. And Snapchat certainly deserves its place in your plans, especially if you are creating a personal brand or you otherwise want to be able to engage with your followers in a very direct and very personal way. Because actually, Snapchat just happens to be one of the most direct forms of marketing and one of the most personal ways to communicate with an audience. It has its limitations, sure, but for the right business, it can be an absolutely invaluable tool that converts quite unlike any other channel in the world. The objections. So just why is it that so many people overlook the importance of Snapchat? Why is it that the social network never quite gets the same amount of love and attention as something like Facebook? It comes down to the way that Snapchat works, which prevents it from being an immediately obvious choice when it comes to reaching and communicating with your audience. That's because Snapchat is essentially one-to-one. That is to say that it allows you to message someone with a picture directly, but that picture won't be visible on any kind of feed or wall. This makes it more akin to private messaging, a la WhatsApp, as opposed to social marketing, a la Facebook. The question that is on everyone's lips is, how do you go about building an audience? How do you market to people who aren't already following you? This is why they can't see the value in Snapchat, and it's why it so often gets overlooked for other methods. But now reconsider that objection for a moment, because actually, you could make the exact same argument against email marketing. And as we know, email marketing is actually one of the single most important tools that any marketer has at their disposal. You could also make this argument against telemarketing, a strategy that effectively every business uses to some extent or other. And then there's the compelling stats, the power of Snapchat. So Snapchat works just the same way that email works. You build your audience, and then you use Snapchat to engage with them and to prepare them for your sales. But why choose Snapchat over other methods? Or in addition to them, for that matter? One, it's personal. Well, for starters, Snapchat is highly personal. Snapchat works very similarly to live streaming in this sense, because it allows people to get insight into what you're doing at any given moment. When you send a snap, it will be received immediately, and most people will open it then and there. This means that they'll see what you're currently doing, and they'll know that you just sent that correspondence. In this sense, it's very similar to getting a text or a private message. And when that message is coming from a brand that you absolutely love, that's highly exciting. 2, the engagement is incredible. What's more is that a Snapchat has incredible engagement, and there are lots of great reasons for this. For one, people chose to follow you on Snapchat, which means they've given you permission to contact them, a very important concept. At the same time, your message will show on their mobile device as a notification, and they'll be able to receive it wherever they are. This is partially true of an email, but only partially, because often email notifications just say something like 3 new emails, which hardly compels us to open the app. If you're anything like me, it might instead say 3,898,789 new emails. Finally, Snapchat means sending a video or an image. This is a highly consumable format, and the duration is limited by nature. This means that people who wouldn't be bothered to sit and read through an email will be able to watch your Snapchat video and know it's only going to last a couple of seconds, or they can check the picture. In short, all of this has combined to a platform with some of the best engagement of any platform out there. According to an article on the Huffington Post, Snapchat messages have an open rate of 90% or more. So if you have 1,000 followers, you can expect 900 of them to open your Snapchat message. This is in comparison to email open rates that are as low as 25% at their very best. This is also much better than Facebook or Twitter, and especially now that only 10% of your Facebook followers can see your posts on their home feed, unless you pay for more exposure. 3. It's persuasive. Lots of people open Snapchat messages, but what's more is that they will probably listen to them. That's because they will often be images and sometimes be videos, either of which will have the power to be very persuasive and to potentially drive sales. This is something that you can do much better in a video than you can do in writing. In a video, people can see your body language. They can hear your passion, and you can use music and other tricks to really hammer home a point. As they say, an image tells 1,000 words, and a video tells even more. 4. It's exciting. Snapchat messages are often funny. Sometimes they're very insightful, and there's always the excitement of having a message that will self-destruct, much like the start of Mission Impossible. So whereas an email might seem dull, a Snapchat is something you'll often want to check out. And now with the filters, which by the way are highly viral in their very nature, and various other new tools, it's becoming more and more exciting. Facebook obviously knew this too, seeing as it was originally interested in buying the social network for a whopping $3 billion. That's more than it paid for Oculus. And when Mark Zuckerberg thinks an app is worth watching, it's worth watching. Chapter 2, How to do Snapchat Marketing, the Basics. So with all that in mind, how do you go about doing Snapchat marketing and using it to build a following, promote your brand, and drive sales? The key to Snapchat is to understand that it should be part of a broader strategy. That is to say that you're going to need to promote yourself on other channels as well before you can start diverting people to Snapchat. And essentially, this will work by creating your audience on those channels such as Facebook or Twitter, and then sharing your Snapchat to those channels. So for example, you can create a video and then share it to Twitter and Instagram, as well as saving it as your story and sending it to your friends. We'll talk about how to do this later. This then lets people who are following you on Facebook and on Twitter see what you're posting on Snapchat, and the idea there is, of course, that they'll think it looks interesting and therefore want to follow you. You simply need to upload the video. We'll look at how to do this later. And then add the comment, "Add me on Snapchat for more of my adventures," for example. Someone who does this very well at the moment is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold is someone who has really grasped the idea of social media and who is using it in very smart ways to build a bigger audience and to gain new fans and followers. He has a huge Facebook page, Instagram account, and more, but perhaps the channel he promotes most often is his Instagram. Recently, Arnie posts a picture of himself cycling in a new city and said that he never accepted the excuse that people don't have time to exercise. He followed this by saying he goes for a bike ride as the first thing he does every time he gets to a new city, and that he shares that ride with his Snapchat followers. Other times, he will post videos of himself talking at events, meeting other famous people, and generally just doing interesting things that his fans might want to see. They then get updated with his exploits and feel like they're getting almost privileged access to his lifestyle and activities. Every now and then, he shares these videos on Facebook, and so his followers see that if they want to get more unique and personal content, they need to get onto Snapchat. For those experienced internet marketers reading this, you'll recognize that this is essentially a sales funnel, and those people now following him will be even more loyal to the brand. Remember, it takes 5 touches to sell someone something, so if you have seen someone on TV like them on Facebook, started following them on Snapchat, then you're already 3 touches in. Facebook is one way to do this, but there are several other social media channels that are particularly well-suited to promoting Snapchat. Instagram is one great example because it already allows you to share short videos. Another good option for the same reason is Vine. Other methods and techniques for building viewers. There are, of course, other ways you can build a bigger audience too. One example is to simply promote yourself on your own blog or website. This is just how email marketing often works with marketers promoting their mailing list on their blogs, and often including an opt-in form right with each post, or otherwise in one of the sidebars. Likewise, you can grow or promote your Snapchat through any other channel. A good example is YouTube. Simply state at the end of your videos that you have a Snapchat channel where you post more exclusive content for your biggest fans and try to make it sound exciting. Another tool that you can use, and that is popular in all kinds of marketing, is influencer marketing. This simply means that you're teaming up with other influencers and sharing your audience. For example, you might make a short video with another prominent personality on Snapchat and then mention the channel of that person in your own video. Likewise, they might do the same for you, letting you appear in one of their videos/photos and promoting your account in the process. To make this work, you need to ensure that you approach creators who are at the same level as you and in the same niche. In other words, if you have a fitness channel and you sell fitness apparel, then you need to make sure that you work with other fitness personalities on Snapchat. Otherwise, their followers won't be interested in following you. Likewise, you need to avoid approaching the biggest names in the industry, like Arnie, because they get millions of messages a day and won't be likely to respond to your requests. If you have 2,000 followers, then approach someone else with 2,000 followers. Then, when you've done that a few times and you have 5,000 followers, you can start approaching people with 5,000 followers. Think of it like a ladder and try to head toward the top one rung at a time. Monetizing. Finally, you get to monetize your channel or just use it to strengthen your brand. You've built the audience, but unlike, say, Pinterest, there is no shop built into Snapchat. What's the point of building such a big following? Well, in the case of someone like Arnie, the end result is simply to strengthen the brand. If Arnold can get people to follow his daily exploits on Snapchat and see his updates from behind the scenes, then those same followers will be much more likely to go and see his new films when they come out in theaters. They will feel like bigger fans, simply as a byproduct of following him. The same can work for you if you have a blog, a YouTube channel, or any other kind of channel that you want to promote in order to generate sales. This can also be a good way to build trust and authority, to establish yourself as a leading expert in your given niche, so that people will be more likely to listen to you when you recommend a product or try and sell your services. And finally, you can of course use a Snapchat video or image to sell things directly. A good way to do this, for instance, might be with a review, whereby you can review a product and then share the link where your audience can go and buy it should they be interested. And because you have a 90% open rate and you're communicating with them in a very direct manner. With all the advantages of video, you can get some pretty impressive conversion rates and drive a lot of sales this way. In short, it is very much worth your time putting in that initial work up front in order to get people to follow you and to be interested in what you're posting. Chapter 3. Finding your way around Snapchat's basic features. Now you know the basics of how you should be using Snapchat. The next question is how you go about actually putting that into action. What does it physically involve in order for you to post those videos? Share them on other channels and grow your audience. Getting set up. The first thing you'll need to do is to download Snapchat as an app for either the iPhone or Android. There is unfortunately no desktop version of Snapchat and no website that does the same thing. Thus, the only way to use it is by using the app. Once you have the app on your device, the next thing you need to do is to log in or sign up. The new Snapchat has a pretty polished and impressive looking introduction now, which features a plain white interface with your silhouette in the background, picked up by the camera. Signing up is quick and painless. You might need to type in a phone number, but Snapchat won't share this with other users. You may also be asked to pass a verification process involving asking a question. On the next screen, you'll have the option to find friends, which is common with many apps of this nature. You can find friends using numbers in your address book, and it's a good idea to add the people you know they can be your first followers. Once you've done this, tap the ghost picture at the top of the screen. This will allow you to add more friends, and also tap to add a selfie. This is effectively your profile picture and works just like a profile picture on any other social site, except that it's animated. A word of warning, once you hit the button, you will have a brief countdown, and then a few separate photos will be taken that will be combined to form a short animation. Make sure you know what you want to be doing in that animation before it gets made. Once taken, you can then share this image through WhatsApp or Facebook, which might be a good way to tell the world you're starting your Snapchat marketing. This page also allows you to add friends if you want to, which means you can find people who aren't in your address book by searching for them by their username. Try searching for Arnold Schnitzel to follow Arnie. If you hit the cog button in the top right meanwhile, you'll be taken to the additional settings where you can set up more details about your account. This lets you edit your password, enter your do-be, and select certain privacy options, such as who can view your story and who can contact you. You can also find the privacy policy here, the terms of service, and more. One very important change to make here is who can view your story. You need to change this from my friends to everyone, and that will ensure that people who follow you can see your story, not just the people you're following back. Sending snaps. Once you've gone through this process, you'll now be able to start using Snapchat right away. The main screen is basically the same as your camera. You'll simply see what your camera lens sees, but with a few buttons overlaid on top. While the tool is quite simple once you get the hang of it, the UX is actually not that intuitive, and a lot of people will use Snapchat for a long time without ever uncovering all the features. That's where this book comes in very handy for marketers hoping to get the very most out of it. To send a snap, all you need to do is to take a photo by tapping the large round button in the bottom center of the screen. This will then take you to a preview of that picture, and you now have a few different options. In the bottom left, you have a picture of a clock. This icon allows you to set the duration of your image, which can be 1 to 10 seconds. This defines how long your recipients can view the photo for before it disappears. Note, though, that there are many ways they can circumvent this limitation if they want to, not least by simply taking a screen capture if they have an Android device. Next to that icon is a downward pointing arrow. This is simply the download option and will save the photo you've just taken to your phone. This is very handy as it means you can now share it elsewhere, which, as we've discussed, is one of the important ways you can grow your following. Next to that is a square with a plus in the corner. This basically means you are adding the photo to your story. Essentially, your story is a page where your follower will be able to see all of your footage and photos from the last 24 hours in sequence. This is a good way to let people catch up with content you've created in a more traditional manner. In the top left, you have a pencil icon. This allows you to draw on your image using your finger. If you have a Samsung Galaxy Note device, then you can impress people with some more detailed sketches. You'll be able to select the color of your scrolls by clicking on the colored squares that drop down from the left by that icon. Next to this is a T icon. This allows you to add annotations to your image and text, which can be great for funny captions or messages. Then there are the stickers. Hit the square at the top left that is slightly askew, and this will bring up a menu of stickers. These include several popular acronyms and examples of text speak, speech bubbles, pictures of rabbits and animals, and all manner of other things. Once selected, you can then drag them around the screen with your finger. Think of these a little like emoji eyes. You can also choose the category of sticker to jump straight to them by using the icons down the bottom. One last thing you can do is to swipe left. Doing this will bring up a number of filters as well as some additional artwork that will change regularly to be topical. This is also based on location and time information taken from your phone. For instance, you can add the time in the form of a digital clock, or you can add images relevant to where you're located. I'm located in London, and right now there are options to share images of London. Likewise, I can have frames that are relating to the EU debate in the UK, as the vote on that is only a couple of days away. There's also the option to add more traditional filters, such as a black and white option or a blue one if you want to make your photo look like modern art. Just keep swiping left to scroll through your options. Finally, when you're finished editing, you can then hit the send button, the blue arrow, and then choose who you want to send your story to from your friends list. When you create your snap, you need to select to send it to your story, or you can do this by using the picture button. This is important, as it is how you are going to send your story directly to your followers so that everyone can see it. Of course, you could always add one of your followers back, and then start to send them individual snaps and videos. This way, you could send them targeted content to try and sell to them, and that is a very advanced, albeit effective, way to market yourself. For most people, though, the best strategy is simply to add videos to your story and then let them see when you update that. Creating videos. To create a video, meanwhile, you simply need to hold the button instead of tapping it. As you hold, the video will record, and you can record anything up to 10 seconds. Once you've done this, you'll be taken to the next page, which has mostly all of the same options. You can now choose to download the video, add filters, add stickers, or more. You can also turn the sound on and off here though. As stories, we've already touched on the idea that you can create your own stories. To do this, you simply send your snaps to your stories, or you add them using the button in the bottom left. This will now allow you to knit together a series of short videos and images that will be available for 24 hours. You can view your story by clicking on your own name in the contacts screen. You can get to this by swiping right, or by clicking the icon with the speech bubble in the bottom left corner. The other option is to swipe left, or to hit the icon with the 3 circles on the right. Doing this will take you to a page called Stories, which looks a bit like a magazine feed. Your own story should be right at the top, and you can click on your name to view it or the options button to download it. But if you scroll down, you'll also be able to see stories added by other users you're following. Additionally, you'll be able to find featured content that's local or that might be relevant to you. Swipe left again, and you can see even more. It's worth checking some of these out, because that way you can see how other successful creators are using the platform, and that way get inspiration for your own stories and videos. Right now, though, there is no way to immediately add a creator from the Discover section, and there's not actually that much more content there either. Chapter 4. Using Snapchat's new and advanced features. As mentioned, the UX of Snapchat is a bit of a mess. While there are some pretty great features in there, the average user won't immediately be able to find them or know how to use them. The app onboarding is terrible because there's no explanation about what a story is, or how it's different from a chat. There's also no logical reason why the icon to discover new content would be 3 little circles. Good UX is all about intuitive use, and right now, Snapchat just lacks that. Right now, this is one of the biggest limiting factors when it comes to using the tool, and it's one thing that is holding it back. But that's why you get a big edge by having a book like this one. Even using the basic functionality is something that requires a little help, and there's a lot hidden away that many users will never discover. Here we're going to look at some of the advanced features that you might now realize exist, as well as some of the new functions that Snapchat has recently added. More ways to spice up your snaps. Big text. An example of something that is very much not obvious is that you can access bigger text for annotating your snaps. To do this, you simply need to hit the T once to start typing, and then tap it again to make your font bigger. This also then allows you to edit the color of your text. Once you've written your text, you can keep tapping the T to move the position around the screen and to switch between the 2 types of font. Upload photos from your camera roll. If you want to create content to share through Snapchat and other platforms like Instagram, then you may not want to have to create it through Snapchat. This is not a limitation that Snapchat allows you to get around itself, but you can do so using third-party apps if you have an Android phone. Something like Upload and Roll will allow you to do this, and you can that way add filters and do more editing before you upload too. When inside a chat, see below, you can however send photos from your gallery using Snapchat itself. In night mode. To enable night mode, all you need to do is to take a photo in the dark. Then it will automatically switch to the relevant mode to take in more light. But you can also activate the night mode yourself if you want to just cover the camera lens with your hand to block at night. Add 2 filters at once. If you like the different filters for your images, then you can actually add more than one at a time. To do this, find the first lens you like and then hold 1 finger on it. Now keep swiping with the second finger, and you can add multiple images. Resize and invert. You can make stickers and text larger by pinching to zoom. Likewise, you can also pan your fingers around in order to rotate them to different angles. Doing different things like this can actually be a surprisingly effective way to make your snaps stand out, which will improve how popular they are and potentially help you to grow a larger audience. Add music. Another great way to add some personal flair to your Snapchat stories is to add music to your Snap videos. To do this, you just need to play the song you want in the video through the music player app on your smartphone. You can then record the video, and the music will automatically be a part of it. It's a neat trick and a great way to add some funk to your recordings. Slow-mo and more. If you keep swiping through the filters on the video mode, you'll actually notice a small picture of a snail appear, and then a rewind button. There's also a rabbit. If you select these, you'll find that when you return to the preview, it is now in slow motion, fast motion, or reverse. Guess which ones are which? Pretty cool. Control your camera with the volume buttons. This is just a small one, but it's certainly handy to have. Lenses, but the really amazing feature that has come with the two. Zero update is the inclusion of lenses. Lenses are effectively filters that affect live videos, as well as the previews. But what's so impressive about them is that they act to use computer vision in order to map out the location of your face. While the UX of Snapchat is poor, and it has been criticized in the past for being a power-hungry and poorly optimized app, this particular feature is actually an incredible example of coding. When you hold your camera in front of your face using the front-facing selfie camera, you can then hold your finger on your face wherever that is in the shot. If you do this for a couple of seconds, you'll then see a mesh outline your face and all the contours, including your nose, ears, and cheeks, etc. Now you'll have a selection of different lenses to choose from, which you can select by swiping through them along the bottom. An example of this is the common dog lens, which will give you a dog's nose and ears, and then play an animation when you open your mouth. Others add makeup. They warp your face in hilarious ways. They turn you into an angle or a devil, and much more. What's amazing about this is that Snapchat can take that data from the image in real time. This is something that almost no other app has been able to accomplish, as it needs to be able to find the contrast to get the outline of your face, and then to work out where your different features are. In fact, if this technology could come to the Galaxy Gear VR, then it could be used to map the room you're in using the camera, and to that way create virtual worlds that you could walk around with no need for external sensors. Only Palmer Luckey said that this would never be possible. Nice going, Snapchat. Adding these lenses is mainly just a bit of fun, but you should definitely consider using them, as they will allow you to make your videos and images more engaging and eye-catching. This will then help to make them much more shareable on Facebook and Instagram, for instance, to bring more followers and more eyes to your channel. One of the most impressive lenses, the face swap. This is a live face swap that lets you swap faces with someone sitting right next to you, and then animate yourself as you move around on the screen. This is almost creepy, like wearing that person's face. You can also swap faces with people in your camera roll by swiping all the way to the right. Chat and video calling. Did you know that you can use Snapchat like an honest-to-God chat client? Just like WhatsApp, you can use this to have chats over your Wi-Fi connection and even to make video calls. To do that, you just need to select the name of the person you want to chat with from your contacts, and then start typing to say hi. You can also see the previous snaps you've sent here, or send new ones. Better yet, you can also engage in video calls, which makes this actually a very good way to catch up with friends and a potential replacement for something like Skype or FaceTime. Friends can see when you're calling if they're online, and they can then ignore, join, or watch. Watching means that they can see your video and make comments, but you won't be able to see them. The cool thing here is that you can still send screenshots, pictures, stickers, and more. Or you can opt just to send short videos, which will loop on the screen much like an animated GIF. Live stories give you a fantastic way to get some visibility on Snapchat, and also to start using this as a tool that goes beyond just sending amusing pictures of yourself to friends. Again, though, it's something that a lot of people would never know existed. Live stories are essentially stories that are organized not by users, but by events and places. You can find live stories for concerts, festivals, and all sorts of other things. You can find these on the Discover page, where you also see featured users. When you click on a live story, you can then flick through related snaps. To contribute, you must first choose the story. It's easiest to contribute to smaller stories, such as local events, as opposed to holidays, like Christ Mass. There's no surefire option, but you will first have to make sure that your location services are turned on in the settings menu, which will allow Snapchat to get contextual data from your snaps. From there, you then need to go to the location that is having the event. When you finish your snap, you might then notice that you have a new option, which is to send your snap to the live story. If this happens, you can submit it and then wait to see if it gets chosen. There's no guarantee, so it's a bit of a lottery. Some things you can do to improve your chances, though, are to make sure location services are on. Go to the right location. Make sure that your snaps are clean with no profanities or nudity. Make sure your snaps are good quality. See the next chapter. Make sure your snap is not overtly promotional. If you have lots of followers, this may help. If you do get featured, then it's a great way to get your snap seen by a lot of people, which in turn can bring in more followers. Snapchat needs to do this sort of thing more in order to start building a big community and creating new opportunities for marketer. For now, though, check live stories regularly and try submitting for extra exposure. And more, reply to stories. You can actually reply to a story if you want to comment on it. Again, it's not immediately obvious, but you can do this by viewing a friend's story and then swiping up from the bottom. You'll then be able to write on it, and the friend will receive the still from that story, along with the text you've added. And check views. You can check how many views you have on your stories. Swipe up from the bottom of the screen on your story, and you'll be shown the number of views and who precisely has seen it. Friend emojis. Snapchat features friend emojis, which lets you see who you interact with most on your Snapchat. This looks at your snap frequency, as well as who you contact most often, and then puts a different emoji next to each person. But you can also change the emojis yourself by going to the settings, then manage, and then friend emojis. This is handy, as it allows you to quickly identify specific people at a glance. Enable login verification. One of the original appeals of Snapchat was its potential security. The fact that messages would self-destruct meant that people could send things they didn't want hanging around and not worry about them getting seen by people who weren't meant to see them. However, there have been a few hacks that have caused issues with this central conceit, that and the fact that people can screen cap. And so you might want to try and increase your security further, especially if this is part of your livelihood. To do this, you can enable login verification by going to your settings and then selecting login verification, then continue. This will let you use SMS verification or an app like Duo/Google Authenticator to give your account extra security and make sure no one can get in except for you. Chapter 5. How to create great stories that people will want to follow. Now you know why Snapchat is important, how to use it as a marketer/entrepreneur, and how to find your way around and access the advanced features. Now all that is left is to create a channel and to make sure that it's great. This is important, A, because you will be showing off your footage in order to attract followers in the first place, and B, because you need to actually retain those followers once you've got them. So how do you do this? Making high-quality snaps. One very important starting point is to make high-quality snaps. It's Jenner Ally best here to focus on videos more than photos, as you can say a lot more with videos, and they look a lot better when you stitch them together into longer stories. In order to make good videos, then, you're going to need a good quality camera phone. And one of the very best places to start here is with the Note 5, which may have been supplanted by the Note 6 by the time you read this. Why? because not only do Samsung Galaxy phones have some of the very best cameras on the market capable of up to 4K, but the Note also comes with the pen that will allow you to add detailed annotations and drawings that will really put your videos a step above. You then need to think a little about your videography. Yes, even for something like Snapchat, it pays to have something resembling a plan when you start rather than just blindly snapping everything you can. To that end, think about factors such as lighting. Where is the light coming from, and where should you stand in relation to it? Having lighting coming from the side is ideal as it will cast shadows across your face in the right way. Avoid having light directly behind you, which will create glare. Think about what's in the background of your shot. Do you have your lawn dry out, or do you have a professional/pleasant-looking backdrop? Then try to use all those extra features we've already discussed. That means creating videos with other tools, even Premiere, and uploading them. It also means using the lenses occasionally, using text and slow-mo, and generally mixing it up. Music goes a long way too. Think about your grander plan for your videos as they'll fit together as your stories. What's more is that you also need to consider yourself and your presenting skills. Try not to speak too quickly, and make sure you hold the camera at a flattering angle a little above your head is always a better look than below. Likewise, try to pull attractive expressions for photos. Learn to squinting with just your bottom eyelids, and turn your ear slightly toward the camera to accentuate that jaw. Think about what you're wearing and be professional. Sound quality is also very important, so make sure that you're not talking against a loud backdrop. Again, the Note devices have great mics, but so do many other options. Having something to say. Also important is the actual content of your videos. Make sure that you have something to say and that you are consistent and on topic. People have followed you because they like your blog or they like your YouTube channel. Don't go off on a complete tangent by creating snaps about something else entirely. That said, though, you also need to play to the strengths of the medium. People like Snapchat because it feels personal and exciting, so try to make your content like that. Try to bring people with you on your adventures and explorations, and generally make this feel like they have privileged access to your life and your brand. If you do this well, then you'll build a highly loyal following, and with not much competition on the channel yet. This is actually easier to do than you probably think. Closing comments. So there you have it. Everything you need to know about Snapchat. Hopefully, you now realize just what a vital tool this is, and how instrumental it can be for you in building your brand and increasing engagement with your audience. Can your business survive without it? Possibly, but there's a very good chance that it could help to put some real rocket fuel under your brand and take you into the stratosphere. Use these tips and the hidden features of Snapchat to make some incredibly content that outshines what else is on there. Approach it with high production values in mind. Make sure to post regularly and to stay on topic, while talking directly to your audience and making them feel like they're right there on your travels with you. Keep at it and share what you create on Facebook and elsewhere. If you do that, then you'll have a direct line into your minds of your audience, and you'll build an incredibly loyal and engaged fan base. So what are you waiting for? Get snapping